Hello everybody and welcome to Indianapolis for the 6th round of the BSR Grand Tour Season 2. My name is Marco Barbanera and together with me and behind the cameras is Samuli Kumo. Good night, Samuli. Hello.
Hello, good evening. And here we are back with the BSR Grand Tour. Maybe a little bit more relaxing week this time compared to last week at Belle Isle, which was a tough track for the drivers, but we really enjoyed it, although I'm not sure if the drivers had so much fun.
Yes, absolutely. We are in a completely different situation here, of course, in the infield of the legendary Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and we are not doing the track that we usually see in IndyCar or similar to the track we saw in Formula One a few years ago, but we are doing the bike track, so we are doing it counterclockwise as it should be, but it's still the twisty turning infield section of the oval, or the most famous oval in the world right now. And we got a couple of minutes left in qualifying, and like yesterday in the Euro V8s, the first two drivers are in a dead heat basically. Anwar Smith and Josh Thompson have posted the same lap, even though we are still waiting for official confirmation in a couple of seconds, as I think Anwar Smith just posted the fastest lap in the session, thereby taking provisionary pole. So it was a tie just up until the moment I said it. And so for these drivers, it's going to be, I think, a breath of fresh air to see all the space available left and right, all the runoff areas in the infield section of Indianapolis, compared, Samuli, to what we saw last week with those close walls, unforgiving walls of Detroit.
Yes, but looking at these drivers, Pedro Smith and Josh Thompson, they are certainly not going to take it easy. They're driving just so close to each other, and they are also competing for the championship. Currently, Josh Thompson is leading Anwar Pedro Smith by 7 points, and then it's a much longer gap to third place Levali. And well, let's look at the other cups as well. So they are in the overall, and in the teams we have Youth Energy leading, and again that is about 900 points, so I don't think that matters much. But we are getting very close to the end of this qualify session. Let's see who do we have on track that is perhaps improving their time.
Yeah, just before the checker flag lap drops, of course, these guys will be able to finish their lap. They've got around 2 minutes of time after they start their final lap to complete their fast lap. We have to remind you that we have 3 races for you tonight. It's going to be 2 20-minute races to begin the day, and then we have a 35-minute race with a mandatory stop. Obviously, race 1 will be decided the starting grid by qualifying. Then we will have a random reverse for race 2, and the finishing order of race 2 will determine the starting grid for race 3. So there's something for everybody. I saw BMWs, Ferraris, there are even a McLaren out there, so huge variety on the field. And I think that all the drivers are done with their qualifying efforts, so we are getting closer and closer to having the possibility to show you the starting grid for this first race of the evening.
Yes, while we are waiting for the timer to tick down, we do have 2 new drivers for this evening. That is Pete Harrod, currently standing third in the qualify, and Alexander Smoleski did not post a lap time, but he is also the only McLaren driver we've seen all season.
And if you've never seen a McLaren around iRacing, you will notice quickly enough by the flames from the backside of that car. So hopefully he can make his way up through the field and show us his beautiful car. So here is the starting grid then. Anwar Smith is in pole position, Josh Thompson in second, then Pitaro, Jamie Hayers, Richard Wormingham, Kip Stevens. This is the top 6. Then we got Chris Daines and Michael Gray. Colin Robinson and Lane O'Connor round up the top 10. Lee Dimmer, Anthony Jacobson in position 11 and 12th. Then we have Scott Malcolm in P13, Lee Woodburn is in 14th, and finishing the grid, like we said, the McLaren of Alexander Smolensky, the number 12 McLaren starting from the back. We will have a pace lap, so you see the Porsche getting ready to show us around this motorbike track for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We will have the classic left turn into the infield like many infield road courses do, and then after that it's basically, I wouldn't say the reverse of the old Formula 1 track, but something close to that. So you can expect chicanes, hard braking zones, a small backstretch, and then we will come back once again to the start-finish line. Of course,
yeah, I did not even realize that this is the counterclockwise. I believe in the normal layout you just go in the opposite direction.
Yes, the Formula 1 and the Indy cars, the Formula 1 used to, and the Indy cars, when they do the Indy GP, they go in the opposite direction and turn right at the end of the straight. But the track has changed a little bit since the Formula 1 days, not by much, but this is more suited, of course, for bike racing, but it has proved to be an entertaining track. I remember, if I'm not mistaken, 1 month ago we had the BSR MX5s, 4 very entertaining races around this bike layout, and it's going to provide for some very close racing. There is certainly the chance to try and make some moves. Look how wide the track is here, and this will of course pose some problems, not only positive things but also problems, because then the car will have to all file in. I remember a big crash in the MX5s in this corner here. As we see, Mercedes and BMW are certainly the cars to beat today, judging by the qualifying. Then we got the first Ferraris in 7th position, and then the only other manufacturer is the McLaren in P15. So we are missing the Audi today.
And
the drivers.
So far we are also missing the Ferrari and McLaren. I'm not sure if there's a problem for Chris Danes and Smolensky. They did take part in the practice, and Chris Danes also took part in the qualify, but they've not taken the start, so perhaps they're starting from the grid. But I don't see the huge benefit for it in the grid of this size.
We'll keep an eye on them as if they will exit the pit lane after the group has passed the first corner, as we are trying to get a somewhat decent alignment, 2 by 2 by 2, all field stretching. You see behind the Porsche pace car. Couple of corners left to go. Anwar Smith, of course, is in pole position. You see, it's refreshing to see the BMW still very competitive after all these years.
Also, confirmation from Danes, he did miss the start.
Okay, so that's one mystery solved. We'll see if the McLaren will take the start as well. Pace car is in, and we are racing here at Indianapolis. A very aggressive move from Smith, I have to say, at the beginning of the race. He's running away with the lead. Thompson looking in his mirrors. He's got Harrod very close as they get to the first corner. Everybody filing through. We see the XPR cars right behind them. And then we will get back on the oval after this twisting section. And then will be the first trouble spot of the lap, as the track goes from very wide to very narrow right here. But you see, everybody is in single file, and so far so good for these drivers. No contacts, lot of tire squealing, and there's a crash there.
There you go again.
Yeah, it's Harrod going the wrong way. Pete Harrod losing a lot of positions. We'll see what happened here. He was sitting in third. He lost it all by himself, trying to Romain Grosjean it, and he had a contact on the left, a contact on the right, And now he's in the grass once again, so I think it's a lot of damage for him. He's going very slow. He hit left and right, so maybe he's got suspension damage on both sides. You can see the damage is pretty hefty, as Anwar Smith has got 0.5 of a second over Thompson, going through those poor cones there that I think will be run over for the entirety of the evening, being in a not so good position. The drivers are allowed to take that line. And of course that contact there, as you see on your screen on the left, on the scoring pylon on our graphics, everybody had to check up. So basically Smith and Thompson were able to get a little bit of a gap on the rest of the field, because they were the only two drivers who were in front of what happened. And I'm surprised that Jamie Ayres is still going, as Arrow is in the pits, even though he's got some big damage. And I think the other guy who got hit there was, I think, Stevens, who got hit on the other side of his car that is looking pretty good at the moment. So Ayres definitely got the most of the hit, as Lee Dimmer is falling, and we see why, going around in the grass, and there's another guy with him as well. It's Chris Daines in the Ferrari. So that part of the track, Sam, is proving to be quite slippery.
Yeah, let's see. Is it the same thing that happened to Harold? Yes, it is. And also with the BMW. And next one was Chris Daines. Exactly the same thing. So that's really weird. Like, is it suddenly getting really hot? Or at least hotter than it was in the qualify session, because that just seems like the car balance is not there. Like, it's completely wrong for these conditions.
I used to, when I used to do GT3s regularly, I used to run the BMW a lot, and I remember it had a problem, as we see Warmingham on Stevens. So my story will have to wait on the inside in the first corner, riding on the curbs. Oh, this is going to be close. And Stevens is able to maintain his position, but I don't know for how long. I was saying that the BMW was famous for having a problem in the slow corners. You could lose the back end of the car very easily at a slow speed. The problem that we saw there, even the Ferrari had a problem in the same corner. So maybe this has to do with setup or track temperature. We will see if the same happens later in the day in race 2 and race 3. We see Warmingham sideways and Gray as well. Warmingham now on the outside, makes the move. This is a part of the track that has remained the same from the days of Formula 1 racing here. Of course, they were doing it in the opposite direction, but I remember the two-ton backstretch basically. I think they used to enforce track limits there, but not here. So these drivers can use all the width they want. And Kip Stevens, see, you hear the beautiful sound of his Mercedes engine.
Did you just see that puff of smoke from Warmingham?
Yes, I saw that. I think it has to do with the cones, because the other day I ran over a cone with my skip barber at Sonoma, and I had a puff of smoke, and also I lost my front wing, so maybe that cone was made out of titanium or some very hard material, because it completely destroyed the front wing of my skip barber. Maybe these North American cones are pretty strong.
Yeah, for a moment there I thought maybe Warren had lost the engine, but it doesn't really make sense on acceleration zone. Just taking a look at here. No, not that slippery for Stevens. Was kind of interested to see if there's any issues for other drivers as well. But looking at those corners, there seems to be very heavy load on the right side tires, and that is left-hand corner that they kept losing the car on. So perhaps the tire pressures are getting too high on the right rear.
we know counterclockwise tracks can be tricky for the drivers because usually, not always the case, but you are used to having racing in clockwise tracks. So when you are presented with a counterclockwise track, you get drivers that maybe not used, or the setup has to be a little bit asymmetric, as you see once again these cones being destroyed by Stevens. iRacing introduced a new smoke system for the recent build they introduced, and while it looks pretty cool, it's got a couple of issues, and you know, exploding cones or something like that is one of them. So we'll have to be careful because it looks really like a blown engine.
Yeah, and on that one, I think next week we might see a video of the new damage model being in action. I think I saw a post about it on forums. So that will be really cool. Like, did you see the examples on the blog? Like wings coming off and nose cones coming off and wheels detaching.
Yeah, absolutely. The examples with the skip barber were absolutely interesting, and I also remember that 6 months ago, more or less, the first examples of graphic damage were shown on a BMW. So maybe these GT3 cars and the skip barbers will be the first to receive a lift, on a much needed lift of facelift of the damage model, and I really can't wait. And that will also, I think, play a part in how big crashes will develop in iRacing, because I think now the problem with big crashes in iRacing is that you get there's not a lot of energy dissipation. Basically, when you hit another car, you see smoke once again. Basically, it's like hitting a brick wall. That's why you see, for example, big ones on NASCAR, and I think there's a slowdown for Stevens there, or just a better exit for Gray. In either case, Gray gets the position. You see that big crashes in iRacing are much more violent than big crashes in real life. And I think that has partly to do with that. So it's going to be interesting, as once again, another move here on the front stretch. Malcolm trying to make a move on Woodburn on the inside. They are side by side, very close. It's gonna be on the inside for Woodburn here. So Malcolm will have to wait just a little bit on the next
really looked like he
left-hander.
had it, but Malcolm, he is one of those safe drivers. He doesn't take unnecessary risks and rather just waits another lap than goes for a risky move.
So Stevens is getting ready to attack Gray after Gray got the position on him a few seconds ago on the start-finish line. So maybe that was a slowdown for Kip Stevens, because he seems to have the pace to stay close, or even to be a little bit faster than the car in front of him.
Yes, it seems like Kip is a little bit better on the brakes, but just Gray seems to be able to run away on the corner exit where it matters, like here. Because we've seen how easy it is to get a draft here and maintain and get good enough run. But now we see that the gap is just opening up. Why is it actually opening up? Because I don't think Kip had any kind of slowdown there. So perhaps he has some other damage to his car.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, he was hit in the beginning of the race in that crash there, so maybe he's got some aero damage. And now Colin Robinson is closing on him, so this is basically going to become a three-way battle for 5th position. There's around 0.6 of a second between the three of them.
Yeah, Robinson just visibly closing in on the straights. And also Stevens is falling back on the straights from Gray. But then we get to this twisty section and Stevens is catching up like a few tenths. But again we see the gap closing, opening up. So that is definitely some damage to the maybe front wing or front diffuser.
Yeah, these cars are not quite as sensitive as the GT cars, but they still rely a bit on this on their underside for aero. As we see Danes making a move on Malcolm now, the Ferrari, after the mistake he made. There's some side contact there. So Danes starting from the pits, then he had a spin, and I think even a bit of contact with the wall. Put his car back on the track, and now he's trying to gain some position. His next victim, I think, will be the pink and green Mercedes of Woodburn here on the inside. They're gonna be side by side going back. Oh, there's contact and there's a big crash between Malcolm and Woodburn just at the entrance of the oval there on the start-finish straight, and they are hitting each other once again. They get moving. Lidimer is closing in on them. We will see a replay right now. Scott Malcolm trying to make a move after he saw his opponent getting overtaken, and that was front left with right rear, and that usually spells damage, and that is this secondary contact. Both guys were trying to get as fast as possible back on the racing line, and they hit each other once again. And I think we will see round 2 quite quickly, because they are still one right besides the other, and Woodburn, of course, Dane's very happy about that, because he gets pretty sure top 10 finish after this contact.
Yeah, I mean, I just call that a racing incident. I mean, Scott, he saw a place there because Woodburn was so slow, giving way to Deemer there. Danes. And I think just Woodburn just didn't see Scott because he was coming at such an angle that you cannot see in your mirrors. Although maybe if he had looked at the F3 screen, then possibly, but that's not usually something you look at in mid-corner.
Yeah, in the beginning of during the practice session, Malcolm was talking about having a little bit of problems with the track, getting used to the track. So I'm sure he's taking it pretty safely. Of course, that wasn't in the plan, but one thing I have to say, I think that some of these drivers, if not all of these drivers, are also just coming off the Spa 24 hours. I'm sure some of the drivers in the field participated in that race, so they are basically on the back end of a very long and stressful weekend, so mistakes are to be expected, I think. And maybe some of them didn't have enough time to prepare for this track. Of course, a 24-hour race takes away a lot of your time. If you take it seriously, you even start testing 1 month earlier than the race itself. As we see, our leader Barrow Smith has got 2.4 seconds over Josh Thompson, and then Thompson has got 8 seconds over Jamie Ayres. And Jamie Ayres is being pressured by Richard Wormingham for the final podium position as we enter the final 5 minutes of this race, more or less. And Smith looks to have this in the bag, but the podium, the final podium spot is up for grabs between the number 46 and number 714 car, with Wormingham that's trying to get closer and closer. He's lapping quite a bit faster in this last lap. I took half a second away from Jamie, so he's getting closer and closer, but also the time is ticking towards the end of the race. And also a nice battle behind them.
Yeah, I was looking at the sector times here, and just on the final sector, I think Jamie Ayres must have had some mistake, because he was half a second slower than anyone else around him. That was 27.3 for the sector 3, whereas everyone else is doing 26.8, 26.7, and so on.
If you see there, these guys are cutting a lot of that final corner before the front stretch, basically. You see they get very aggressive on these cones, and I think it's much like the final corner at Montreal, that you can cut a little bit of the chicane, but if you cut like 1 inch more or 1 centimeter more, you get a slowdown, or maybe you brake in order to avoid getting the slowdown, and that's what costs you a lot of time. You see they are getting very, very aggressive there on those cones. On board we... Oh. Little bit of a mistake there. It's so difficult to get that corner right. It reminds me of the first corner of the Daytona infield track. And overall, much better lines from Airs in this section.
Yeah, and Birmingham just had the first mistake, got a little bit loose, and maybe out of frustration then tried to make it up in the next corner, but ended up losing another 2 tenths. So the gap is twice as it was in the beginning of the lap. So
Yeah,
now he has to work hard to get that close again.
You hear the tires squealing under Richard Wormingham's car, so you know he's on the limit. He's trying to close the gap.
And right behind them is another battle back here. This has been going on for a while. Ray versus Stevens. Seems like Steven is able to hang on to it, but just hasn't been able to really find a way to get past. And I think it is because, let's see, does the gap open up when we get to the straight? Yeah, on the corner there of your screen you can see the interval just going up. That is 1 tenth loss, 2 tenths, 3 tenths. That is 3 tenths that he loses from last corner to first corner.
I think we've had a crash for Woodburn. He has towed back to the pits just a few seconds ago.
Let's take a look.
That will be important for the reverse. Let's see. He went really wide and then he parked the car. See a lot of damage on that Mercedes there, so maybe he decided it was not worth it to keep running. As we are back live, and we've got, I think, we are getting closer and closer to the white flag. I think the drivers will get it this time around.
We might be getting one more. Yeah, we're definitely getting one more because Errol Smith here is coming through the final corner and he will cross the finish line before the timer ticks down.
So it should be one more lap after he crosses the start-finish line. With a little more than 40 seconds to go in this first race, Smith leading with 1.9 seconds over Josh Thompson. Jamie Ayres is trying to keep Richard Wormingham at bay, and the same is true for Gray with Stevens, and this battle for third position is very, very close. Wormingham has been slower in this first section of the track lately. Let's see if he will be able to keep up and then go for a move. But you see that Ayres is running away in this section of the track, and then Wormingham is able to close the gap in the final part. But I think it will be too late because he gets very, very close in the start-finish straight, and that of course is not enough because you need to be side by side there to make the move, and just being close is definitely not enough. As our race leader is getting, I think, a couple of corners left in this first race of the evening. It's been a very, very cool performance, very calm from Smith, got the pole position, got a great start, and was able to impose his rhythm on the race. Once again, over the cones, left and right celebration time for Anwar Smith. He brings home the victory in race 1 with Josh Thompson finishing second. And Jamie Ayres will complete the podium. Wormingham will be in 4th, and Gray will be able to hold off Kip Stevens for 5th position. All the other drivers are slowly coming towards the finishing line. It's Colin Robinson in 7th, and then Lane O'Connor and Anthony Jacobson also coming towards the... You can see on the right of your screen the minimap. See where all your favorite drivers are. And these guys will be hoping, of course, for a sizable reverse.
Yeah, it really depends on who you ask. I think Anwar would prefer a really small reverse.
Yeah, and we've seen how important it is to have a clean car, basically. The aero damage is very, very costly, especially in this long front stretch. And Kip Stevens probably editing him to attack Gray, but due to the damage he sustained at the very beginning of the race, he wasn't able to keep up on the straight. He was able to make it up on the infield section, but then once again you push the gas pedal and then you cannot close to the car in front of you. So it's important that you keep it clean in the second race and in the third race as well. And I think all the drivers have crossed the start-finish line, and we are ready to give you the race results for this first round, for the first race of the round here. So we got Anwar Smith winning the race, 1.88 seconds over Josh Thompson, and Jamie Ayres is in 3rd, Richard Wormingham and Michael Gray 4th and 5th, and Kip Stevens, Colin Robinson, Lane O'Connor, Anthony Jacobson, and Chris Taines round up the top 10. Scott Malcolm, Lee Dimmer, Pete Harrod are the final guys on the lead lap. Lee Woodburn 3 laps down, and Alexander Smolenski did not take the green flag. So I think the first 13 drivers will be eligible for the reverse that is coming up in just a bit.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that Smolenski will join us for the second and third race, because I really want to see that fire-breathing McLaren in the field. But now let's switch over to the reverse grip wheel and see what we get for the second race. And sorry Anwar, but it is going to be full -1.
Okay, so I think that Lee Dimmer, if I'm not mistaken, will start from the pole position. We will wait for official confirmation when we come back in, I think, around 10-15 minutes time, and we will see. But I think he's going to be him in pole position with Scott Malcolm right beside him in the first row.
iRacing.com is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all over the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics and engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. iRacing's web-based interface allows members to compare stats and test drive any combination of car and track instantly. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 60,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsport organizations like SRO Motorsports Group to deliver virtual races based on the real-life Blancpain GT series. iRacing's Blancpain Endurance Series features team racing, giving members the ability to build a team and participate in races ranging from 3 hours to 24 hours. Additional partners include NASCAR, IMSA, V8 Supercars, IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own 24 hours of Spa, Bathurst 1000, Daytona 500, and many more. iRacing.com, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Once again, photo finish here of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Will it be Tim Hogan? It's going to be Christopher DeMeritt at the line.
And we are back live from Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the second race of the evening, BSR Grand Tour. Marco Barbanera, Sam Kumo in the booth and behind the cameras, and we've got another 20-minute race here for you. The finishing results of this race will determine the starting grid for race 3. And I think we are almost ready to give you the starting positions after the reverse, after the results of race 1 that we had. Lee Dimmer is in pole position, Scott Malcolm will be in second, and Chris Danes, Anthony Jacobson, Dane O'Connor and Colin Robinson, Kip Stevens and Michael Gray, and Wormingham and Jamie Ayres is the top 10. Josh Thompson and Anwar Smith in 11th and 12th, the first two drivers of the first race. And after that, rounding up the grid, we will have Pete Harrod and Lee Woodburn. So sadly, no McLaren, it looks like, Sam, for this second race.
Yeah, it seems like. But now we also have Lee Dimmer and Chris Danes further up the field, and I think like they were way off in the first race, so they might be in a good position to get a great result here. Let's see, we had Anwar, he is at 12th, and Josh Thompson at 11th, so I think those two will be battling all the way through the field to see which one can get to the top. Because if you remember, Josh and Anwar, they are currently fighting for the championship with quite significant lead over everyone else, really.
Like we saw in the first race, it's imperative that you don't get damage on your car, because you can pay the price for aero damage in the front stretch as we are getting closer and closer to the pace car making the hard left turn for the beginning of this second race.
I would like to bring your attention to Stevens. Do you notice anything weird or anything out of place? I'll give you a hint. It might be the shape of his car. Yes. Because I'm pretty sure he has been driving the Mercedes in the previous race, in basically for the past few rounds. So now that is looking awfully like BMW, and I'm not sure you're allowed to do that, especially like mid-event.
Yeah, and you know, when you get the menu for selecting the car and confirming the registration may be a mistake, and you cannot change your decision once you make it, basically, when you enter the session. So that's going to be interesting as the pace car makes the left turn, and we are racing for race 2 of the evening, and it's a good start for Dimmer, but also the black Ferrari of Danes on the inside looking to gain a position on Scott Malcolm as well. Gotta be extra careful in these first few corners. Also, we saw some drivers having problems with the grip, and the Ferrari takes the second position as we are having side-by-side battles all over the place. It's contact, more or less side-by-side contact for some drivers, but they are all behaving nicely. And now the slippery part of the track, almost 3 wide here. Hopefully they will all make it through. You see Thompson, Smith and the other guys, as I think Danes has got in the lead of the race with his black Ferrari, and now he's off.
He was there for momentarily.
Yeah. So once again he's off in the beginning of the race. He was on the inside here. Let's see what happened there. Contact with the Mercedes, and he goes around. Oh dear. He had a great start. Now what? Multiple cars battling for the third spot, occupied by Scott Malcolm, as we see.
That's Michael Gray.
Yeah, Gray
went a little bit wide there.
Yeah.
Oh, and completely misses his braking point in that corner.
He almost hit Smith, and
contact between Wormingham and Jacobson, I believe.
Wow, it's all happening here as Smith is already in 5th position.
Josh Thompson is up to 3rd.
Yeah,
Up 8
and they
positions since the start, and this is only the 2nd lap.
Yeah.
That is
And
Lane O'Connor.
O'Connor is off and is out of the race, I think. He's not going back on track. Another surprise here. This will promote Thompson to 2nd, Smith to 3rd. Keep Stevens is in 5th position. Trying to gain a position on Scott Malcolm. Malcolm is a bit wide. Another contact there. As
That was Jamie Ayres on backup, I believe, might have been Warmingham or Gray. Either one of those XVR drivers.
Another XVR car sideways, 4 wide on the backstretch as Danes is trying to gain back the positions he lost. Remember, he was leading very briefly in the beginning of the race in his Ferrari, and more contact here. The drivers are certainly not holding back for this race, Sam.
No, and that is Ayres in the green Mercedes. Kind of just trying to defend his position, but also...
Oh, he's around! And the Ferrari's around as well!
Yeah, that was Gray and Danes. I didn't quite see what happened to Danes. Did he just get collected in that same incident? Yeah.
To the grass. Then he also had a side hit with one of the XVR cars.
Yeah, that was great. It seems like Danes, he went to the grass, basically lost it, and also kind of caused Gray to also of the circuit and spawn him.
Okay, so now we have Dimmer in the lead. Thompson, Smith are in 2nd and 3rd, and Kip Stevens basically is leading the rest of the pack.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. I think he has a slowdown. He's letting almost everybody by.
Yep, only person behind him on the same lap is Michael Gray, who is recovering from that spin.
So we have the first 3 drivers in the span of 1.6 seconds, and then we got Jamie Ayres is 7 seconds behind Anwar Smith. So basically the top 3 are running away, and Robinson
that is Robinson into the back of Malcolm.
Yeah. Wow, the grid has been shuffled, but I mean, basically we see a lot. Most of these guys in the positions they were during race 1, but they are not holding back at all. And remember, it's important to get a good position here, because this will determine your starting position for the 3rd race, as Thompson and Smith are battling. Once again, we see some damage on the front right of Smith. He's getting outside going into the infield section. Thompson on the inside.
Yeah, that was damage on Thompson's car.
So Smith makes the move, gets the move done, as he is in front of Thompson, who goes a little bit wide here, getting back on the oval, and we see him moving left and right, and losing, I would say, immediately a bunch of time. So I don't know if he has a problem, or if that was a slowdown, or if he was saving the car from overheating tires. Maybe he had some kind of a half spin there, as maybe we have some contact once again. Stevens and Malcolm. Malcolm is in the grass with damage.
Stevens is in the grass with damage.
Yeah. In the front and the back. We got a replay for you, and they were not close. So something must have happened here. Oh! It was a hard hit.
Yeah, I think what might have happened there was Malcolm just kind of got forced wide, and Steven just ran into him, really.
Yeah, Malcolm had a contact with another competitor for sure there, and it's almost like Stevens completely missed his braking point there, and these two are once again Stevens is going very, very slow, and we will also have to understand how will the rulebook judge this change of car mid meeting, basically, because he was running in a Mercedes in race 1. I think that was a mistake on his part once again. He doesn't even have a livery on for that car. He's got a basic livery, so something must have happened, as Thompson is now finding himself in a battle for P3 with Ayers and Warmingham and Harrod behind him. So I think we can say that Josh maybe has got some kind of damage. He's losing a lot of time to Smith and Dimmer, and if you remember, Barrel Smith won the first race, but it was just a couple of seconds over Thompson, and now Thompson is losing a lot of time to his championship rival.
Yes, I'm looking at Thompson's sector times. Sector 1 previous lap, or this lap, was about a second slower than Smith. Sector 2 was about the same. But overall the previous lap time was 4 seconds slower. So there is something definitely, and you can see him really struggling with the car.
I think that Smith is about to make his move on Dimmer for first position and trying to get the double here at Indianapolis on the inside. No opposition from Dimmer, a smart move, because he knows that Smith is faster, but then once again he goes deep and tries to stay on the outside. Maybe we'll get a better exit here on the backstretch. Smith looking very good there. Let's see. As Thompson is pitting. Thompson is pitting.
Yeah, he must be pitting in for the repairs. Lee Demon really giving it all.
Yeah. I thought he was letting him by, but he was just sacrificing the first corner in order to have a better chance of a better exit in the second part of the beginning of the lap. But now I think that Smith has got the move done and he will try to run away, and this could be very, very important for the championship, Sam, because his main rival is in the pits and will start in the back of the pack for race 3 later this evening.
Yep, Anwar has really been given a huge gift here, because this is just perfect for his championship. John Thompson has rejoined the race, but no, he is still in the pits. Well, he is 12th, and most likely if he is not going to join, he will be 1 lap down or more and will not be eligible for the reverse grid.
So let's take a big deep breath and focus on this final 10 minutes of the race. Smith lapping in the I-37s, gaining 1 second over Dimmer. Woodburn is battling with Robinson and Gray for 6th position. As they begin another lap, and Gray gets the move done, moves into P6, and Robinson looking to do the same.
Yeah, that was Gray recovering from the incident he had. And that is quite a recovery, because he is now already down up to 6th position. And that is from all the way from the back of the field.
I'm hoping we will see Thompson and Danes back for race 3, especially Thompson, but Danes, I'm so curious, because I think he has the pace for a top 5 position, but he has been so unlucky in both race 1 and race 2.
And doesn't seem like he's just close enough to make a move here. And we also have another battle going on for the 3rd place. This is between Ayers, Birmingham and Harrod.
Yeah, with the retirement of Josh Thompson, this has become a battle for 3rd place, and a mistake from Jamie Ayers here, and now he's under fire from both his competitor. Harrod making a move on Birmingham. Will they make it 3 wide? I think they are. 3 wide going into the first corner. Who's gonna lift? Herod is lifting just a little bit, trying to make a faster line into the first corner there. Ayers is not done with that, and there's contact, and Herod says thank you when he gets third position. So you see guys, lifting in a 3 wide sometimes yields good results. It's not just a question of who's got more courage there, but if you lift just a little bit, you may get an advantage. And poor Jamie Ayers from 3rd to 5th in the span of a couple of seconds, and with some damage, I believe, on his car.
Yeah, it seems like it usually those kind of contacts that really hurt you. Any kind of corner contact near the suspension, that is going to affect your driving, affect your balance. So far it seems like the steering is pretty straight on his car, so maybe he just got away with it, but now he is... oh, that is pretty slippery. So there might be some damage there. But yeah, it is 4 seconds down to warming up now, so it is going to be a tough job to catch up.
Yeah, we can say that Warmingham got away with it. Herod, of course, had the better result. Still, I think that Warmingham might be able to close the gap to Herod. It's 0.7 of a second, so despite maybe having some damage, he will be able to make another move for the final podium spot. And of course, like we are seeing on the graphics, yeah, Smith is in the lead with 11 positions gained, but Herod 10 positions gained, so a very, very good race. And he will try to hold off in this final 7 minutes or so to bring home a nice podium position to show for his great comeback. And of course, this will also yield him a good starting position for race 3. So it's imperative that he maintains the car on the track and gets home in position 3 or 4th, so he will get a very, very good chance. And dare I say, Anwar Smith is looking very good for a possible sweep of this meeting, because if anything holds, he gets another pole position in race 3, and well, with his main rival out of the race and seemingly starting from the back, he can complete a very, very unlikely trifecta here of race victories. But still a long way to go even in this second race, so let's not jump to conclusions. Robinson here battling with Woodburn and Jacobson once again for P7. Jacobson just a little bit behind the 2 guys in front of him. .36.7 for Smith on the start-finish line. He's now got 6.3 seconds over Dimmer, as Jacobson is closing in on this duo. And maybe we're going to have another 3 wide on the start-finish line. Let's see.
I hope they heard what happened previous time we went 3 wide. So we'll see, maybe Jacobson kind of holds back, just takes a look at what these guys are doing. And you could see that there on their final corner, especially Woodburn and Robinson, they had very different lines. And Robinson has been in very close to running the back of Jacobson, as here he's having pretty rough time through those corners and gets easily overtaken by Jacobson.
Yeah, nice move there, and now Woodburn has been able to get 1.5 seconds of gap between himself and Jacobson, so a little bit of breathing space for him, as we'll see if Robinson will have enough speed to respond to the move.
Right now it's really looking like Robinson is... And it seems like in some sections he is much faster, but then he keeps falling back. So I'm not sure what's going on there.
Getting back to the start-finish line once again, these 3 guys.
Also, I've just received information about Josh Thompson and what happened to him. Apparently, he had a cone stuck under his car. So that is the price you pay for taking shortcut in the final corner. And that was costing him the speed.
I completely understand. It has happened to me once in an IndyCar race. And an oval race at Phoenix. I couldn't understand why I was losing, just not a lot of time, but it was there, no? And you need all the speed you can on the ovals. And then one guy under caution said, Marco, you have a cone stuck under your front wing. Went into the pits, the cone disappeared, and I won the race. So these cones can be very tricky, especially if they get stuck in an awkward position. When you get to the pit stop, to the box, you get it removed. But of course, you cannot afford it in a 20-minute race. So yeah, sometimes they don't work in your favor, and we'll see if Thompson will take different lines in race 3. Of course, very, very unlucky, because we see lap in and lap out all these drivers running over those cones like they hate them, and seemingly nobody has had any kind of major damage there.
And perhaps when you're running into or slightly tapping someone in the back, maybe that helps get rid of the cone. So maybe that's what they are doing it.
Could be that. And as we get 1 minute and a half left on the clock, so I think that we will have this lap and one more.
Yes, I believe so. I think you're correct, because we've been running at 1 minute 37 for Anwar for the past few laps. So we should be getting one more.
As our race leader is completing his 12th lap of the race. Winner of race 1 and getting closer and closer to winning race 2 and guaranteeing himself pole position for race 3 as well. Battle for P7 still raging on between Woodburn, Jacobson and Robinson. These three have been at it for the past few laps.
Yeah, it seems like they are just having small mistakes here and there, catching up and then falling back. But not really, none of this is really able to make a pass and run away with it, so they are just, for now, they are stuck together.
White flag is in the air, so final chance even for this guy. After the start finish line, it will be the last lap for them as well. As Smith, of course, had his fastest lap of the race, 2 seconds faster than Dimmer in this last lap, and it's been a dominant performance, 11.5 seconds ahead of P2 as we stay with these three guys here. All the different lines we saw in the past laps, the different interpretation of this first part of the track by all the three drivers, but no one seems to be able to
maybe
make
their final opportunities. They have one more chance after this on the back straight, but I think that is it, because the main straight is not long enough to really make a pass, unless you get a really good run.
Final corner for Anwar Smith. He makes it 2 out of 2 here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and like I said, he gets a very, very nice starting position, pole position for race 3, race victory for race 2, and looking good for the treble later tonight. Lee Dimmer and Pete Harrod running very close, but not close to make a move for P2 and P3, and Richard Wormingham is in 4th position. Jamie Ayers is getting close to the start finish line, is in 6th. is in 5th, of course, and Gray is in 6th. And we see the guys battling for P7, Woodburn, Jacobson, and Robinson. We see they are not changing positions, 7th, 8th, and 9th, and Malcolm will finish in 10th position. And the final car on track is Kip Stevens with his oddly looking Mercedes or BMW, and we will hear, I think, more about that later tonight.
Yeah, I don't think like whoever he borrowed it from is not going to be happy with that kind of front end. And he is taking very different lines.
Yeah, the Indy 500 is in May, but it's never too early to practice.
And that is definitely going to be a speeding penalty.
Yeah, and also I think a fine and a speeding ticket, and wherever he borrowed that BMW from, like you said, he's going to pay for the damage. So we have the final race results for race 2. Anwar Smith is the winner, Liddimer is in 2nd, and Pete Harrod is in 3rd. Wormingham, Ayers, and Gray round up the top 6. Then Woodburn, Jacobson, Robinson, Malcolm, Stevens, they are the guys on the lead lap. Josh Thompson, Lane O'Connor, and Chris Daines are out of the race, and this will also be your starting grid for race 3, which will be 35 minutes, don't forget that, and we'll have a mandatory stop. So we will catch you in about 10 to 15 minutes time for the final race of the evening here from Indianapolis.
iRacing.com is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all over the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics and engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. iRacing's web-based interface allows members to compare stats and test drive any combination of car and track instantly. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 60,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsport organizations like SRO Motorsports Group to deliver virtual races based on the real-life Blancpain GT series. iRacing's Blancpain Endurance Series features team racing, giving members the ability to build a team and participate in races ranging from 3 hours to 24 hours. Additional partners include NASCAR, IMSA, V8 Supercars, IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own 24 hours of Spa, Bathurst 1000, Daytona 500, and many more. iRacing.com, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Because here comes Holgate. Yes, the outside line through the final corner for the final time. Once again, photo finish here of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Will it be Tim Hogan? It's going to be Christopher DeMerit at the line.
And so we are back for race 3 here from Indianapolis Motor Speedway's BSR Grand Tour, the 6th round of the championship, and the cars are lining up for the start of the race. Marco Barbanera and Sam Kumo once again. Anwar Smith on pole position, Lee Dimer is in second, and Pete Harrod, Richard Wormingham, Jamie Ayres, Michael Gray, then Lee Woodburn and Anthony Jacobson, Colin Robinson and Scott Malcolm, Kip Stevens, Josh Thompson for the top 12, and then we will have Lane O'Connor and Chris Daines. We've heard some problems for Josh Thompson and Lane O'Connor after the second race, some physical problems in the ankle for Thompson and in the back for O'Connor. I'm curious to see if Stevens has been able to find his Mercedes back, or if he's still driving a BMW. Let's see. Oh, the BMW it is. Once again. So we have a cool track, overcast temperature, cool track, overcast skies, and a mandatory stop. Race will be 35 minutes instead of 20. So if you find yourself in a little bit of trouble, a little bit of traffic, basically you can pit, I think, right from the beginning or from the very first few laps, because it's just a splash to make it through to the end. So this will pose some interesting strategies from the drivers. Of course, Smith has a great chance of bringing home the third victory of the evening, and we are getting ready for the start of this final race of the night. You see, we are now on the backstretch on this small straight, and then after that the pace car will do a couple of corners and then we'll peel off, and we will be racing for this race 3.
And so far tonight we've really seen that the pole position and the front row is really the place you want to be on the lap 1. But aside from Smith, who else do you think is your favorite for the win?
Well, apart from him, I'm expecting a good race from Wormingham, and I think Harrod has the possibility to do well. We'll see if Daines and Thompson will be able to have a clean start and make their way up through the field. I know they have the pace, but Thompson has got some physical issues, like I said in the beginning, and Daines has been just plain unlucky in the beginning of the race, in the first few races, and I heard some pretty angry drivers after the second race. So a lot of these guys will want to prove a point, as we have a terrible start for Lee Dimer. Maybe it was not in the correct gear. Everybody passing him basically, and Smith gets a good clean run to the first corner. Harrod, Wormingham, Ayres and Gray. This is the top 5 going into the first corner, as drivers are trying to get position, getting into the corner cleanly, avoiding contact. Once again, remember, mandatory stop, so if you are in a battle, you know, you can peel and go to the pits and basically have clear track in front of you. So disaster there for Lee Dimer. I don't know what happened. I suppose he was not in first gear when he took the green flag, and or maybe he was in a fuel saving engine map and the car did not move.
Yeah, based on what I saw, he was way ahead of Smith, and I think what happened was that he just didn't notice it, and then kind of panicked to not get disqualified for overtaking the leader, and then he just had no momentum and kind of was out of rhythm completely and missed the start.
We will see if he will get a penalty or not, if he will get if he go in the pits, as Harrod has taken the lead. What happened to Smith? Is it down in third position? So I think he must have missed a corner there, and either
I think he went off the track, and let's see here.
Yeah, and I think he got a slowdown for that as well. because he cut the corner in the end, even though a very slow speed. And you know, if you cut a corner in the first 2 laps, you pay a hefty price there. As there's a car going around there, should be Jacobson,
Jacobson,
in his
yeah.
Mercedes, yeah.
Yeah, I think Jacobson was trying to avoid... was it really... Who was it actually?
As Smith now is down to 7th place, in the clutches now of Chris Danes in his Ferrari there, so maybe it was one of those very long slowdown I was talking about in the first 2 laps. So you get a very hefty penalty for cutting the corner, even though you don't do that on purpose, so you just was trying to save the car. So Smith, looking very good for the race victory, now has got some ground to make up and is wasting no time getting rid of Woodburn there, going up to P6, with Danes looking to do the same as well and gain a position there. Danes has promised us he will going to be very aggressive in this final race of the day.
Yeah, we'll see if that happens. And I think what happened with Smith was that after he went off, he must have had some grass or dirt in his tires, because in the next corner he almost lost it, and I think that's what happened to Jacobson. He was trying to avoid Smith, but also lost control and went off to the grass.
In all of this, we have to say, nice driving by Josh Thompson, because he's already in 4th position. He just had the fastest lap of the race, and remember, he was starting from way back, and this problem for Smith has opened up for him a good possibility of scoring a nice position, nice podium position, or maybe even a race victory, because the front guys are so close, and Thompson is making his move on Jamie Ayres. Maybe he cut the corner there. Let's see, he was very deep on the inside of the curve there. Should be good. He's not slowing down, so 3rd position for Thompson, and now he's hunting down Wormingham and Harrod that are 1st and 2nd, as we are midway through the 3rd lap of this 35-minute event, final race of the evening here at Indianapolis.
I think Josh Thompson, despite having some difficulties in this race, I think he's really going for the win here, because that would be great after the 2nd race, and just losing all those points in comparison to Smith. So if he wants to keep his championship fight at least somewhat close, he needs to really go for the win here. And Wormingham is in the pits.
So Wormingham is in, and I think Gray, his teammate, will follow suit. So clearly they are on the radio and on the same strategy. One thing you have to notice here, the pit lane is very long. So you are bound to lose a lot of time.
Yeah, Lane O'Connor, their 3rd teammate, did not take the pits, so he is not on the same strategy. He is on the strategy of shortcutting the circuit, but seems to be getting away with it.
So the 2 XVR guys are out of the pits, and we will see how they will be going, and they will be close to each other, so maybe they can help with the tow on the straights. We'll see. Wormingham and Gray here they are on camera right now. They have 30 seconds. They are 30 seconds away from the race lead. Peter is still leading, but Josh Thompson has overtaken Jamie Ayres. So now he's looking very good for an attack on the 1st position, as Smith is out to P4. But still just a bit behind Jamie Ayres. Is like 1.6 seconds away from the final podium spot, and Thompson is not taking it easy on those cones, despite what happened to him in the 2nd race, and now he's on the inside in the 1st corner, flashing his headlights, making his intention pretty clear to his opponent. He's going to hold the inside. Better run for Harrod there, then he's going to have the inside, and then Also, Ayers goes deep on the inside, deep on the brakes, trying to gain an advantage from the battle these two guys are having. And for the moment, Harrod prevails, but Thompson will have a much better exit here when they go momentarily on the banking and then back on the infield course. And now Thompson will have the inside. He's cutting that corner a lot, maybe too much this time. Yes, definitely too much. That's a slowdown, and Smith gets in front of him, and also Ayers and Harrod maintain their positions. So from first to fourth for Thompson there, he was, you know,
And a slowdown
wow,
for Ayers.
slowdown for Ayers as well. These drivers have been threading the needle all night long with those couple of corners, and it finally came back to bite them as Smith is trying to use this momentum loss from Thompson to get the position on him, as Harrod gets a little bit of a breathing space there, 1.3 seconds in front of Thompson, as we have to also note that Smith has got the fastest lap of the race, as Danes, I think, is losing some positions once again in this race. Some trouble for the Ferrari, is going very, very slow there.
I believe he
Some
might
more
have gone off
contact.
track. Let's just quickly... Oh, let's wait here and see what happens. And then we can take a look at what happened to Chris Danes that started all this. Oh, and something happened to Josh Thompson.
Yeah,
Sorry,
something happened to Thompson. Yeah, he's in the grass. In the grass, and Smith gets the position. So it's all happening in this third race of the evening. It looked like Smith was going to drive in the sunset. You maybe can't see that, but we are in a late afternoon setting, even though it's cloudy. And then everything happened since the green flag dropped. A lot of chaos, a lot of surprises, and now Thompson is losing a lot of time. And I think
So let's take a look at what happened. So first, Chris Danes, he had some kind of incident here. Oh, it's just been... Is it...
Same as
yes.
race 2, basically. Going
Yeah, a
on
little
the
bit
grass
earlier
there.
this time. Did he have some contact here? Close, but not quite. And then we had an issue with... was it Lee Woodburn?
Yeah.
Yes. And following that, we didn't get any breaks, and it was Josh Thompson who went off in turn 1, I believe.
Oh,
Yeah,
all
just-
in zona.
Yeah.
Whoa! So he had contact with Smith, but there was, I mean, nothing Smith could have done there, because they were both committed to that first corner, and Smith was trying to avoid Thompson, and he couldn't do that. It's difficult enough to control the car in a normal situation, but then there was a sliding car right in front of him, as Danes going deep on the brakes there on Lee Dimmer. So we'll see Smith's times, and side-by-side contact there, Stevens and Dimmer.
I think we
Whoa.
also need to pay attention to Smith's time to see if there's any damage from that contact.
Yeah,
It was pretty hard on the front end, so I wouldn't be surprised if there was some lingering damage, maybe to aero. We saw how big effect just a small kind of aero damage will have, or even a cone.
He will be. If I was him, I would use my faster pair when I go in for my pit stop to take the fuel, because you can get some significant, not only aero damage, but also cooling problems, and that could later provide you, with troubles and getting maybe a blown engine, especially with these front engine cars like the Mercedes and the BMW. Smith is lapping in 35.6, Harrod 36.2, Ayers 36.6, and Thompson 35.4. So Smith is still looking good with his times. I don't know his engine if he's cooling properly. Once again, the smart decision should be to get a fast repair. And apart from Wormingham, Gray and O'Connor, nobody has taken the road to the pits, and we are 12 minutes in this third race, so everybody's still waiting a bit, and there's a huge gap between the top 5 basically and the rest of the pack.
Yeah, looking at the map, I think what Smith is afraid of from pitting too early is that he will be right in that right behind that small large pack at P6 with his Chris Danes, Skip Stevens, Lee Deemer, because I'm looking at the pit lane times, and as you said, it is a really long pit lane. So you're about 40 seconds on the pits, and that's about half a lap distance. So if Smith pits right now, he would end up shortly behind that large group, and because he is so much faster, he would just end up running the traffic really, and having to waste all that time making the overtakes.
So far, times are looking good for Smith and Thompson compared to Ayres and Harrod, so I think they will be good for now. Surely they will take the fast repair when they get to the pits, as Thompson moves on the inside of Jamie Ayres there in this first corner and makes the move stick, so he's up to P3. He was faster than Thompson in the previous lap, but the lap in this lap he has been just a little bit slower, maybe due to setting up the move on Ayres. So we'll see his lap times this time around. They are both gaining significantly over Pete Harrod, and I think that Pete will be under attack from Anwar Smith in just a couple of laps.
Yeah, I'm looking at Josh Thompson's driving, and he is really pushing hard. Getting a little bit loose and sideways on a few of these corners, but so far it's working for him.
Here is the leader Pete Harrod in his BMW, yellow BMW. For a second I thought at the beginning of the meeting that this was a Jordan inspired livery from the late 90s with Deutsche Post color logos and yellow color. It is not, but it still reminds me of that time of Formula 1 racing. Very pleasant livery, very good looking livery. 36.4 is a 35.8 for Smith, and Thompson has got his best at 35.7. So Smith and Thompson lapping close to each other. This time Thompson was slightly quicker, and he's got 2.7 seconds to make up to catch his rival Smith there.
Let's look down the field. What else battles do we have? Here might be a battle for 10th place between Woodburn and Birmingham. They've been pretty close, and it seems like Birmingham has been closing in. And to be fair, Birmingham has been very fast in the previous 2 races. So right now he is recovering from that pit stop, but now here's the problem that Smith wants to avoid, because even if Birmingham is about 2 seconds a lap faster, he is still losing a lot of time dealing with this traffic.
Absolutely, and you were right when you talked about that. An early pit stop was maybe a way to get out of the traffic quickly, but of course if you have a fast car, you are going to get on the back of the cars that are in front of you, especially if they are battling hard like Woodburn and Malcolm are doing. And I think we have Robinson in the pits from P5. As
yes,
see,
that is correct.
Birmingham is not able to get a move done. And we'll have to wait once again
And we might have very soon a move for the first place, because Smith is right up on Harrod.
Yeah, bumper to bumper with, you see him on the background, that is Josh Thompson closing in. So in the first race, Smith was faster than Thompson, basically on pure pace for the entire race. I don't know if it's anything to do with the damage or the weather conditions, but in this race it seems like Thompson has the edge over the race pace, over his rival Smith there. But still, the leader is Pete Herrod, and he's holding on to that lead, so for this moment he's in front. And
Smith
is very, very wide, very, very wide. Thompson gets the move done. Maybe, yes, he's got the inside here. Maybe he will peel for the pits. Smith will, let's see, no, side by side. So they will battle it out, and Pete Herrod might benefit hugely from this. You see all the dirt, the debris brought back on the track by Smith after he's off track there, and he gets very, very wide. He has the inside line here, Thompson on the outside, looking very, very fast. And Thompson will not let him go, I am sure of this. Maybe even a little bit of a bump there. He's extremely close. These two will battle it out. Let's see what happens here, because if they don't battle, they will be able to get once again close to Harrod. Otherwise, Harrod might run away with the race victory here. Let's see. And also there's Jamie Ayres lurking behind him in P4. That was a strange mistake from Smith, usually a very, very clean driver. Went for a ride there, you hit the grass in that corner, and you are basically, it's like a magnet that pushes you wide.
And I think, like, going back to your previous point about Josh Thompson being really much faster in this final race, it might have something to do with the track conditions, as you suspected, because we've seen that Josh Thompson, he is always right at the edge. So now with the colder track, we have much more grip available to us. So he might be more comfortable with pushing the limits here compared to Smith, who has maybe kind of adjusted his driving style and the lines to the lower grip conditions that we had on the previous two races.
I'm curious to see if the balance will remain the same after they take their pit stop and after they take their fast repair. Smith hit Thompson square in the back with the front of his car, as they are once again all over the back of Pete Herrod. So it's almost like Smith got the bigger damage, even though you know, it was a pretty hard hit for Thompson as well. But maybe Smith's engine is not running well, it's not cooling well, or more probably it's like you said, the grippier track is helping Thompson just a bit, as Smith is very close to Pete Herrod there. 20 minutes on the clock, 35 minutes is the race distance, so we've got 15 minutes left, more or less. Let's see if these three guys head for the pits. I think they will pit as late as possible. Still, only 4 guys out of the 14 on the track have taken their mandatory stop, so the field it is like the first 4 guys, and then there's a huge gap to all the other guys. So if you pit now from the top 3, top 4, like you said before, you will still end up in the traffic. So I think they will be waiting for all the other guys to pit, and they will try to postpone their stop as late as possible. Good run for Smith here.
Yeah, especially considering how much pace Smith and Thompson have over Harrod. And here we go. Smith on the inside, but just wasn't able to find the room there.
And now Thompson tries to gain an advantage here on the backstretch. Well, not on, yes, on the backstretch we are there. Let's see if he tries for a move on the inside here. Not recommended, of course. He takes a slightly wider line to get a better exit here. Nothing between these top three guys, 0.7 of a seconds covering these three. Jamie Ayres is the best seat in the house, some 4 seconds behind them. And Thompson is in the pits. So interesting move. We'll see where he will slot out after this pit stop.
Yes, because right now, if Thompson is able to find a clear track, I think he has a very good chance of overtaking Smith, although Smith is just making the move past Harrod here. So
Yeah.
you know what, I think this might work in the favor of Smith. Because
That was
Josh is
crucial
still
on
in
his
the
path.
pits.
And
that
now
was
he goes.
quite a long pit stop at 11 seconds.
Yeah, so now his car is, I think, back to perfect conditions after the faster pair. Oh, bad pit exit for Thompson. Hopefully he doesn't get a penalty for that. He shouldn't, I think. But he is in traffic. Gray is in front of him. And after that...
Basically all the cars up to Chris Danes at 4th are right in front of him, so
Yeah.
this is really working in favor of Smith. As long as he can just keep running the laps and has the fuel to make it longer.
Unless these guys all pit now or in the next few laps, Thompson will be all over the back of Dimmer, Stevens and Danes in a matter of, I think, 1 or 2 laps. He made quick work of Gray there. And that move from Smith, I think that was crucial. And if he ends up winning this race, it's going to be the move that sealed the deal for him, because it was mandatory that he got free track in that moment of the race, as Warmingham is around. Not in the wall, but is around. Let's see, maybe it's easy seat for him. He's parking the car, and yes, he is out of the race, and he's...
Yeah, I was just about to take a look at, because he also had some issues early on. Like, or was it the previous lap? Yeah, just overheated the tires on the turn 1, I believe. And that's where he lost 2 positions to Malcolm and Gray. So it seems like he has been just struggling with the car for this whole race.
So looking at the lap times, we see Danes trying to make a move on Stevens. Smith 1:36.2. Josh Thompson is still to have a clean lap after pitting, so we'll be waiting for him on the start-finish line next time around to get a grip on how he's doing. Good race from Danes, this one, finally, after all the troubles he had.
Yeah, maybe he was just taking too easy on the race 1 and 2. Whereas here he just promised to put up a good show, plenty of overtaking.
So Smith will stay out, as will Harrod, as will Ayres. So the top 3 are staying out. 35.8 for Smith, 36.9 for Harrod, Jamie Ayres 38.1. And I'm really curious to see how Thompson is doing involved in all these battles. He's got Lee Dimmer in front of him.
Yeah, I don't think he's quite up to the traffic just yet, but now he really wants to get past Lee Dimmer on the main straight or turn 1. Let's see if it... Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Lee Dimmer just let him by.
35.9 for Josh Thompson, as Chris Daines is in the pits, as is Lee Woodburn, so slightly slower this time around Thompson in comparison to Smith, but now he has, I think, Stevens to overtake, and then it will be a clear track for him, but still I think it won't be enough, because at the same time Smith is having a lot of free track available, whilst Thompson is battling. And he is in, the race leader is in the pits. Crucial moment of this race, of course. Harold takes back the lead, and also I think Jamie Ayers is coming in for his mandatory stop.
Now let's see, is Smith, does he has to make some repairs, because that would really turn the race over here, because he does have a significant damage to the front end. And here comes Stevens and Thompson. Does Stevens stay out? Yes, he does.
8 seconds stop for Anwar Smith.
Yeah, that is 3 seconds faster stop for Smith. And here Thompson really lost time behind Stevens, so I think yeah, that's a pretty good gap that Smith was able to gain during those pit stops.
Yeah, Smith got his faster pair. You see no more damage on the front end of his car, and now I will be very, very curious to see his lap times compared to Thompson, as I think Pete Harrod, Skip Stevens, Lee Dimmer, Scott Markholm and Anthony Jacobson are the only guys left to take their mandatory stop, as we are getting closer and closer to the white flag here at Indianapolis. We have 29 minutes on the clock out of the 35 available for this third and final race of the evening of the BSR Grand Tour Season 2.
And everywhere else, the battles have kind of quieted down. We do have a small battle going on here, potentially between Malcolm and Ray, as well as I think something might have happened here, because they were much closer for the 10th place between Connor, Robinson and Daines. Daines is now down to 12th, and I believe that was because he just made the pit stop. Yes, it was.
Pete Harrod staying out once again, but he will have to come in sooner rather than later, and I think he will yield the race lead to Smith. It will be interesting to see if he will slot out behind Thompson as well, or if he will be in the middle between Smith and Thompson. That would help Smith even more.
I think Harrod will be behind Thompson, and possibly even behind Stevens and Deemer. Although Stevens and Deemer have not yet made their stops, and Harrod comes in.
Yes, so the yellow BMW is in. Smith and Thompson are entering now the final chicane.
And that was a lot of cutting for Smith.
Yeah, let's see the lap times now. For Smith, this one was 35.9, 35.8 for Thompson, so pretty similar lap times. Harrod is exiting the pits, and he's in front of Thompson.
No, that was much faster than I thought.
And Thompson already on his headlights, flashing them towards Harrod. He wants to take that position. Oh, little bit sideways there is Harrod. And now he's having to defend. And he will defend his position. Thompson on the inside there makes the move. That was a pretty swift move there. That mistake by Harrod, undoing all the good work he did by staying out a little bit longer and exiting second from his mandatory stop. Now Thompson will do everything he can to catch up to Smith, but I don't think that there's enough time, Sam, because the gap is 3 seconds and we have just a couple of minutes and just a bit more to go. So Smith looking really, really good, but even though he might win 3 races out of 3, this third race was not an easy race for him.
No, and it's still not over because all it really takes is one slowdown. Just a little bit too much corner gap in final corner and Thompson will be right on it. As Giff Stevens makes a pit stop as well as Malcolm and Gray. So I think this is the lap when everyone will be doing their stops.
Yeah, only Anthony Jacobson. Only Anthony Jacobson is missing. I think he will be in this lap as well, because you know the. Nope.
He is staying out.
Hopefully, we'll make it around because on the timing screen I have him at 0 stops.
And I think the same goes for Lee Deemer.
You are right, Lee Deemer is at 0 stops as well. Thompson losing a little bit of ground there, I think.
Yeah, and I think I can show you what happened. He's really pushing hard and possibly even a little bit too hard.
Oh, he brushed that fence there. And Harrod is giving him the headlights back.
Yeah, I just noticed that as well.
And Harrod has passed him because Thompson is in the grass once again.
And now that is a slowdown.
Yeah, that is going to be a huge slowdown. Lucky for him, he's got a big gap to the car behind him. Let's see what happened here. Thompson is pushing very, very hard, loses the car, takes a trip through the grass there. He wanted to avoid a repeat of what happened in the beginning of this race. And Pete Harrod, is done all race long, keeping his cool and getting the position, and is looking very, very good for a podium here after a race where he had to battle with the 2 top guns of the championship, and he had to yield to Barrow Smith, but he is looking good to finish ahead of Thompson after what looked on paper as a very, very simple flag-to-flag win for Smith. It has been everything but he had to really fight for it, and Harold, Thompson and all these other guys have really fought all race long, and now Danes and O'Connor side by side. I suspect we are on the final lap of the race.
Let's see, yes we are. Smith is still a few corners to go, so let's stay with these guys for a moment longer.
So Danes promised us some fireworks for this final race, and he delivered. Great comeback, and he's looking good for a 6th place finish as Barrow Smith. Final corner, 3rd race win out of 3 races tonight. And that was a very well-deserved race victory. Harrod is finishing, maybe second. Oh, Thompson got him. He did! Josh Thompson. And what's going on here? Lee Deemer is without fuel, I think.
Yes, he has not made a pit stop, so he is out.
Oh, and that's a big crash!
That's Lane O'Connor.
Wow, there was a huge crash.
Let's see, that was...
Man, oh man. maybe he wasn't expecting to see such slow cars around the corner there.
Yeah, exactly. Jamie Ayres was moving slowly after pushing Lee Deemer there, and just Leino Coron had really no idea what was going on there, and couldn't really react to it.
And well, what an eventful race down to the final corner, basically, as all the drivers are trying to get to the start-finish line. Lee Deemer and Anthony Jacobson are stuck at the entrance of pit road.
And we are currently waiting for Jacobson to
Yeah.
finish the race. So,
We have to wait for them.
so
Otherwise,
guys, if you're here on the in-lap, could you give him a small pause so we could get on with it?
okay, one of them has teleported to the pits, and I think Jacobson will do the same in a second, because unlucky for him, but the track is exceptionally flat in that point, so there's no way he can crawl to the... Oh god! He can crawl to the start-finish line, and yeah, that was necessary there, as we saw Stevens once again speeding through the pits with his BMW. And I think we are ready to give you the race results for the final race of the evening. Here from Indianapolis, Anwar Smith wins over Josh Thompson, who beats Pete Herod on the finish line for the second position. Chris Daines, then Jamie Ayres, Colin Robinson, Lane O'Connor, Michael Gray, Kip Stevens, Scott Malcolm, and Lee Woodburn. And then we saw Lee Deemer and Anthony Jacobson run out of fuel at the very last corner. Basically, Richard Wormingham finishes 8th lap down, and that will be that for this race. Let's see if we have some interviews for this race. We saw some very interesting comments in the live chat today, and I think we have Josh Thompson ready for an interview. Hello Josh, and welcome. Thank you for the interview. It was a very nice, well, it was an interesting day for you, and you managed to get that P2 in the third race just by a whisker in the end. What happened?
Yeah, just obviously not done any laps around it, never driven it before tonight. Obviously with Spa 24, and then injured my ankle. So I've not been able to do a lot of testing. It was like hurting through like even the sprint races, so I was in a lot of pain when I was driving. But no, it's come through. To be honest, I thought I had the lead at one point from the back, so I was quite happy with that. Got a slow down, dropped back, and then I always had that spinning turn 1. Just destroyed the tyre. I mean, after that, it was just such hard work. Overshot the pit stall. Just a load of like mini little things which I obviously would have practiced.
So we read about your injury, and also we heard that in the second race you had a very, very peculiar issue, because a cone got stuck under your car. Is that right?
Yeah, looking on the replay, it had got wedged in between the wheel and the wheel arch, and once it had gone, the actual suspension on the right front was bent. Like I had loads of toe and camber on it, but it was actually the suspension damage. So like the left-handers is okay, but I'll turn to the right-handers and go like straight on. And obviously then because of the cone effect in that, it was just constantly wearing the tyre. Went into turn 1, turned in, and the car formed 360 around on me. And went to the pits to get it checked, and I was lapped down by then, so I was out, which is a shame really.
So, well, it was, I think, all in all, a very, very interesting race meeting for you. Are you looking forward to the next round, which I think will be in Interlagos?
Yeah, definitely. A track I actually know quite well. I don't mind racing around, so I've got a bit of experience with GT3 around there. So it should be better. But obviously tonight, everyone's saying it's not a bad meeting. They still probably walked away top point scorer because Anwar switched cars from the Mercedes. So he's not scoring any points now for the rest of the season. So in a way, I still came the winner out of it all.
Before we let you go, is there anybody you would like to thank?
Yeah, so you guys commentating and broadcasting, great job as always. Lee and the admins in this series, CQR for a bit of help, and Radicals as well.
Okay, that was Josh Thompson, and now we have Anwar Smith with us. And here he is, and of course, what can we say? 3 victories out of 3 races, Anwar, and let's say that I was predicting for you a comfortable win in race 3 after what you showed us in race 1 and 2, and you managed to win race 3, but it was far from easy.
Yeah, I wanted to make it interesting for myself. No, I snatched a break coming into that bend, and I hadn't done that all evening. I don't know what went wrong, but I just snatched it for some reason, and then saved it, but got a slowdown, of course, as I cut across the track, saving it. So I thought it was over at that point. But fortunately, I had good pace, and I was able to get back at the front. But it was a hell of a fight between us 3, Pete and Josh for the lead, and it could have gone any way, really.
Yeah, overall, all 3 races had different characteristics for you. So you end up, one will read in a few months or years, 3 wins out of 3, but basically were all 3 races very, very different from each other.
Yeah, they absolutely were. So, the first race was straightforward in terms of just keeping my head down and staying ahead of Josh, and the second race coming through the fields was interesting, but that third race was just crazy, and I without wanting to be too overconfident, I was similar to yourself in thinking that I was hopefully going to walk away with that third race, and I think by the end of the first lap before I spun, I already had a 2-second lead, so I thought it was going to be comfortable. But it was a good race, and it was good fun, and that's what we're here for at the end of the day.
So in 1 week time we will be at Interlagos. What are your thoughts about that racetrack in Brazil?
No idea really. I'm not, I'm quite familiar with the track, but I haven't done any GT racing around it as such yet. So it'll be my first experience doing some GT3s there. But it'll be interesting to see how the cars match up around a track like that, where it's a bit longer straights. Everyone knows that track a bit better as well, so the field will be a bit closer, I think. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's good practice for the Monday nights anyway. So I'm just going to try and get as many laps in as I can.
Okay, before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to thank?
As always, just Youth Energy boys, because there's a lot of support from them, and we do a lot of this racing together. Lee Deemer for the championship, because it's always good fun on a Sunday. You boys for broadcasting, because that's always great to watch back. And lastly, Josh for making me want to switch to BMW, because it made me realise just how good it was.
Okay, thank you very much, Anwar, and we'll see you hopefully next week on the track.
Cheers, guys.
So, the sun is setting here on Indianapolis Motor Speedway as we are ready, I think, to call this one a night. It has been a very, very interesting race meeting, this one from Indianapolis. So, I invite you to keep following us on Apex Racing TV, where broadcasts every night, basically, of the week. And so subscribe to the channel and don't miss a single stream. I am Marco Barbanera for Sam Kumo in the commentary booth and behind the cameras. A good night and see you next time.